bought a fixer-upper fifth wheel a few years back, and this is my trials and tribulations to it up to when I started taking video of what I'm doing. In this video slideshow, I'm going to be showing mods and improvements and repairs I've done to this fifth wheel here before I started videoing. And in the near future, we're going to be working on Dad's trailer there. And you're going to be doing axles and frame improvement there for hauling a bumper pull trailer, as well as I've got to do a hitch extender on this and a bunch of other little things. So this is the 30-foot fifth wheel I picked up on Kijiji. For you US guys there, it'd be something similar to Craigslist. Saw it on there for a week or two and hummed and hawed on it, and kind of had some features I liked. Couches across the back driver's side there, so you can sit there on a nice rainy day and look out the big picture window and still feel like you got some space in it. So that had the winterization package with the 2-layer windows, double pane, as well as all the water and holding tanks are under a false floor under the bathroom, up in the nose there. So it has some water damage and some leaks up on the roof there. I figured we'd start with that once I got it home. Had a look and started working slowly from the back of the unit up to the front there and fix the roof for 10-15 feet, and then redo the inside up to pretty close to there and keep working forward. So as you can tell from these pictures here, they tried sealing the leaky roof with everything. There was silicone on there, there was roofing tar, there was spray on box liner it looks like they used at the end there, as well as your typical normal RV roofing putties. So it was a lot of time tearing that apart. I bet you there was 2 solid days trying to clean everything off there. There's fiberglass even put on there. Once I removed all the useless TV antennas and roof rack and stuff nobody ever really uses on these things, I went to start fixing the rot in the back wall caused by a leaky roof seam up top there and a leak on the rear window. So you can tell that it's pretty rotten back there. The only way to really fix that is to rip her out and rebuild it. For the most part, these things are just built with 2x2 or 1x2 and stapled together. So it's fairly easy to take apart, and all I do when I put it back together is use staples or screws and some PL400. Holds it, still flexible. So while I was working on the back wall there, I figured I'd better pull that couch out of the way and get some more room to work, and underneath there's the water heater. Figured, well, I got to reseal all the windows and everything. I may as well reseal all the doors and accessories. So I pulled the water heater out, but it was froze. Had to take a 3-pound hammer and square it up to get it back out the hole, and then figured, well, let's see if it holds pressure in there, and ended up putting 60 pounds of air to it, and boom, it popped back out. So that was a no-go to put back in. So I cut the paneling down with a knife down the cupboard lines there and peeled the carpet back up and cut out all the patches there where I needed to fix water damage. In the time I got going on that, I realized, I may as well just take it all out and modernize it, put some newer 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch paneling in there, and at least the inside will look fairly new, be more modernized. So while I had the roof ripped apart there, you can see that insulation's pretty thin. It's meant for 1x2 walls or 2x2 walls, and the roof there's pretty much a full 2x4 width, so I put R12 in there. All these little improvements with insulation in the front and back made a big difference on temperature in that unit there in the wintertime. And you can see how the framing in the back there came together, and that big pocket in the back there where it was just dead airspace. So, and like I say, just the little things all add up. You can sure tell what a bit of new paneling makes for a difference in there compared to the old stuff. Well, I was in there, nothing screwed back down yet like the couch. We're going to be doing the flooring. And I crowned the roof, added some plywood down the center, so if a guy wanted to walk, you're not just pulling on the tin. Recrowned it, and then shot some 3/4 plywood on there with some PL to keep that crown up in the roof. While I was going through there, I realized it was a little spongy at the step there, so I tore into that a bit and found out the water line and door were leaking there, so I had to rebuild the floor there and new plywood and pop it back together. As I kept working ahead on the roof there, you can see the kind of crap I ran into where somebody tried patching it with some dryer ducting and silicone and back and forth there, and then a factory, or what I'm assuming is a factory tear in the roof. It looks like it's been there with a factory seal. So after finding that cut in the roof there, I started tearing into the bathroom below it, fixing leaks, and noticed the tub was cracked. Happened to have another tub out of a different trailer we tore apart there. Fortunately, it was about 2 inches wider or longer than it was the other way, so I ended up having to tear the bathroom walls apart and rework it to fit. With the bathroom walls out, it was easy to strip the nose up in the bedroom of the fifth wheel all the way up to the front there. And while I was at it, I wanted to string some power from both sides of the bed and put some USB plugs in and change some wiring around. These little yellow boxes are mobile home boxes for use in 2-inch thick walls. They're hard to find, but it's what you need to use in these. So while I was running the wiring for that, I added a 3-way switch for the top light up here and speakers up in the nose here as well. I got the paneling back together in here and wanted to keep carpet in there. It's nice and warm on the feet when you wake up in the cold. I put a plug in on the driver's side wall there for TV. When I put the bathroom back together, I'm going to use 3/4 plywood to be able to mount a flat screen on it without it falling apart. And coming together. So working on the top here, you can tell where I got rid of that leaky skylight when I was patching everything. Cut another roof vent in there instead with the louver. Got everything all buffed up and patched right from tip to tail. Solar panel mounted back on there, and started putting the new tub, or the new to me tub, back in. A buddy of mine, plumber, said to bed it with expanding foam. He said when they do that in houses, they usually fill the tub with water when they bed it. So I had a bunch of sandblast sand I threw in instead. So all the water tanks are actually underneath the tub and toilet, gray and black respective, and then the water tanks on the other side, you don't get any weight transfer that way when you're empty and full. It all stays the same on your tongue, and it keeps it nice and warm in the belly. You don't have to worry too much about your water freezing. And getting the walls put back together on the bathroom there, and get the door framed, the wires put up again. Ran PEX instead of that poly B for all the water lines while I had everything apart. Ran a bunch of 3-way switches and put a tub surround in, which I'm not sure whether I really like or not yet. And kept on building that way with it. Started ripping into the furniture on the unit there to make up for the difference in the wall size. So I busted out the 2-inch oak and went to work on widening that cabinet out to make up for the wider walls for the bigger tub. And put some walnut around the top. When I put the arborite on, cut the new sinkhole there and trim out nice. Started making a towel rack as well to go up above the toilet there beside the mirrored vanity. Just a little more storage in there. Then I started staining the stuff to match the paneling, and figured I'd cover that with some polyurethane, give it a nice good durable finish. It seemed to color match pretty well on there, so proceeded with the rest of it. And then went and put the sink in, cut the sink in there. Had to adjust a little bit of plumbing for it, but it turned out much nicer. Had the wall there to anchor it to, that solid 3/4 wall. Worked out good for mounting flat screen TV too. Won't pull out there as well. I do take it down when I travel with it though. With the bathroom going back together, I started trimming out the nose there in the bedroom and putting the pieces back together under the tub and closing it in, finishing it off. Here you can see the heated area underneath the bathroom where the holding tanks are. And you can also see the mass of tools and material there, move from front to back as I work in different areas. Been doing this in the middle of winter here, so it's one of those things where you don't want to keep opening the door. While the walls were open, I put switches in so you don't have to reach up to the lights, and added another switch in for the pump so you can turn it on from the bathroom as well. And started test fitting before I went and mounted everything in there permanently. Seemed to be the thing to do and worked out quite well. With the cabinetry going back in nice and neat, I focused on doing some other paneling and trim work, and figured I'd maybe make some more storage. I had this little makeup hutch or whatever there that did me absolutely no good. Figured it'd make a lot more sense to have some drawers in there and a bit more of a closet. Got kids and stuff, there's always clothes and extra parts and pieces and whatever else. The Craig tool in here was my friend, those pocket hole screws. Assembled everything pretty much that way, and where studs lined up in the walls. But trick was, when I pulled this other stuff apart in here, I saved all that oak paneling, or fake oak paneling, and was able to make some of the furniture match up that way and seem a little more purposely built, like factory. Built it all using face frame construction for the most part, and used panel adhesive and glued the old paneling on there. Tacked it where I needed to, and where I'd be able to cover it with molding trim after. So I kept on trimming out the panel lines there on the splices and corners. And the trick I found was the white worked out pretty good on the white surfaces, and the oak, if I was butting up against any wood grain, seemed to trim that out a lot nicer to the white than it was putting white on the oak. Here you can see that switch bank I cut in the bathroom there, and the red switch is lighted. It's actually in parallel with that pump down below for the water, and you can see the corner molding done first, and then all the panel molding for the seams done second in here. And these lights you see in here are all LED. I bought them from Princess Auto. They're probably equivalent to your Harbor Freight down there. World of difference in brightness and power consumption. It's just fantastic having them in. 2 lights would equal about 6 of the old incandescents. And the 2 above the headboard are just a single panel, and these other ones here, you can see I've only got 2 on down that whole back area there, but there was 8 light fixtures in there that were in there before. And I didn't like the old radio that was in here, so I found this Jensen unit for RVs on eBay. I like it because I can have 3 banks of speakers in there, so technically 6, and control them individually front to back and outside. I took out that crappy combination panel they put in here and put in a 12 volt fuse panel for that, and a 120 volt panel 8 circuit for the rest of the wiring. It worked out better when I could put the inverter charger in there that way. I took a quick break to build a DVD holder on the edge of the shelf there, and then went back to working on the inverter charger combo. It requires a large gauge wire. I had some 350 MCM Bosch rig I ran to it. Had about 22 feet to go from the 3 batteries in the front there. Since I was reworking all the wiring, I put a disconnect in the battery compartment and these breakers, and the disconnect kills them all except for the breaker that does the solar panel, so I can leave that charging all winter. I've got the inverter charger hooked up here, testing it out, and the solar controller, which I changed out to pulse width controller later on. And I'm slowly getting it pieced together a little bit more and more here, and the pile of materials disappearing. Same with some of the tools. It's kind of getting a little easier to work in there. Put some hardwood on for key hangers. Kind of nice to have ATV keys and other keys handy right at the door there. I started monkeying around a little bit more with some more decorative touches around the door there, trimming it out. Put a little walnut in there with the oak. Thought it might stand out a little better. And made a nice little trim piece above the door. So with the rest of the interior coming along the way it's been, I figured the kitchen was looking pretty outdated, but I didn't want to change the paneling in there. It's too much to cut and try to seam the edges into the spot there for the small pieces. So I was doing some research, and the stick-on tiles were the way to go. I put new arborite down on there, and went and gave her with the stick-on tiles and made quite a difference. The only catch is with that stuff there, as the temperature heats up, it sort of ripples a little bit. I ended up getting some crazy glue and dabbing some corners with the toothpick there to get it all buffed up to stay. Since I use this fifth wheel to pull another trailer behind it a lot of the time there, I stiffened the frame with some 2x4 rectangular tubing when I changed the axles out on it, so I was able to get rid of the kick underneath the table. I went and rebuilt that, foamed it in with some spray foam and sheared it off and put some plywood down there, and was able to gain a little more leg room. With the frame dropped down there, I ended up with some 6,000 pound axles instead of the 35s. And I always pull them apart when they're new and grease them. I had some bad experiences with these never lubes that it takes forever for the grease to get to that front bearing. They were 5 or 6 shots a year and still had bearing problems, didn't matter. So now I just pull them apart all the time and pack them myself. You can see the frame drop down in these other pictures here, and the clearance on the wheel well to the fender, I had to do something with that. And I extended it all the way to the back past the original bumper there, and was able to mount another box on the back for more storage. I never have enough. And as far as trailer plugs go, I figured now I was rewiring everything anyway. May as well put some decent plugs on there. I hate the RV plugs. They're fairly unreliable. I use the 7-pin or 6-pin round depending on trailer configuration. Usually the fifth or gooseneck gets the 7-pin big truck style, and bumper poles get the 6-pin. So with the wiring done, I found some 3mm vinyl plank flooring that I glued down inside here. Get rid of the lino, scraped all that up, and got rid of the lino and the carpet other than the main bedroom there. And it made quite a difference. Easy to clean, you can vacuum it. Life's good. I ended up making a little more storage on the back there, tie down generator or whatever. And I added a riser on the toilet, which makes a big difference for a tall guy like me. Finished trimming up the flooring, the steps, and started making some drawer faces for the drawers. And this trailer already came with a deadbolt on it, so I didn't have to add that. But you can see the water tank underneath there and some of the wiring I've done. Added a USB plug and other items so I can camp outside comfortably there and still be able to plug stuff in. You can see the trim I put around for the wheels there. Just cut some 10 gauge checker plate aluminum out. Buff that up. You can see the difference from before and after. For those of you that have followed this far there, I would have liked to have done more videotaping and explanation of some of that, but you're going to have more opportunities. I've got my dad's fifth wheel needs another subframe put under it for pulling a bumper pole behind it, and I'm still not done doing a bunch of woodwork and other projects inside. So there's going to be more things to work on for sure on this unit and his unit, and be seeing some more great stuff coming up. Thanks for watching, and to see more of this actually done in a video now that I decided to start videoing it, please remember to like and subscribe and see what all I'm working on.